Hey, coaches, welcome to Championship Culture. Fantastic guest this week. Jeff Glynn is the head football coach at a small private high school just outside of Detroit, Michigan. He has about 100 kids in the entire school, and he shares some elite ideas on how to build championship culture, especially when you're dealing with a small group of kids and you got to win hearts and minds and build numbers. And he just does a phenomenal job. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode. Hey, coaches, welcome to Championship Culture. Got a fantastic guest tonight. Jeff Glynn is the head football coach at Waterford Our Lady of the Lakes High School, which is near Detroit, Michigan. I asked Jeff to come on tonight because he is in a special situation. He is in a small school, small numbers, and he's doing a great job of building culture and building a championship football team. Jeff, so glad that you came on, man. I really appreciate you being here.
I appreciate it, Coach. This is it's an honor. I've been watching a lot of your guys' stuff, and it's pretty cool to be on it. So I appreciate you having me on.
Awesome, man. So let's jump into it. Can you give a 1-minute elevator introduction of yourself?
Absolutely. So like you said, Jeff Glynn, head football coach here at Our Lady of Lakes. This is just finished my third year here. Was 3 years prior at Maston Heights Lamphere, Division IV school. We're a Division VIII school. This is actually the school that I graduated from. It's my alma mater, so this has been my dream job. So I went from a school of about 800 kids, which, like I said, it's out of 8 divisions. We're D4, into the smallest smallest school in the state of Michigan playing 11-man football. And I love every day. I mean, it's like I said, it's been my dream since I was 14 years old, and it's awesome. If you look in our yearbooks, it says, "Where will Jeff be in 10 years?" They said, I'll be the head football coach. And they were off by about 2 years, but it was still pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So 13 years as a coach, 5 years as a head coach, third year finishing up here. And tell us about the enrollment in the school, because when we say small school, you are a small school.
Yeah, so that's the thing that kind of shocks. I'm a regional director for our coaches association, and when they heard our number, they did kind of the same thing you did. But we are 86 students, fighting proud, and that's boys and girls, 9 through 12. So it's pretty small, but we've got a big lower groups coming up. So, and by big, I mean we might get to about 120, and we'll be fired up about that. But yeah, it's definitely small.
Well, we were talking on Twitter, and I felt a bond with you when we started saying we were both at small schools. And I said, well, we're right under 500. And then you told me, well, we're a little under 100. So
yeah, that's always my favorite thing is whenever people, my favorite thing at clinics is hearing people say, we coach at a small school, and, they'll be from like Ohio or Texas, and they're like, we got 1,400 kids. And I'm like, that's not small, my man. But yeah, so it's a unique experience. I wasn't expecting it, but yeah, we're 86 kids, but we're 27, 28 deep in our program. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's wild. It's definitely a new brand. And when I came over, we got 8-man football, which they got schools as big as 400 or 500 kids in it. And my one thing was, I'll come over, but we'll never go 8-man. I will not take the job if we go 8-man, because very fortunate we're in the top 20 winningest programs in state history. My high school head coach, when he retired, was the third winningest head coach in state of Michigan history. He has, I think, 340 total victories, and I was lucky to play for 46 of them. So it was in 4 years. So it's a rich tradition here, and that's why I had to come back.
That's awesome, man. Well, when you told me about the numbers, that's when I thought, man, we got to get you on here, because I'm sure there's a whole demographic of coaches out there that that are really, they struggle with the numbers. They struggle being a smaller school. And here you are, probably smaller than anyone that's going to be listening, that's playing 11-man ball. And you can really help us, give us some tips on building culture and getting kids out. Those numbers, 27 out of 80, how many? 87?
86.
27 out of 86. That's pretty dang impressive.
And we're mostly girls. There's are not mostly, but we're majority girls. So it's tough, but we get the most out of our guys.
That's awesome. All right, so here we go. Question number 2.
Absolutely.
How do you define culture in your program?
So we define culture. It's our constant reference. It's our navigation system. Like being a Laker, that's our mascot. One thing I always thought was odd, like we never really had a mascot. We literally just had the 3 letters OLL, and kind of a clip art anchor. But we never really used so try to use, being prior Coast Guard, I try to use a lot of nautical stuff. So we say it as our navigational system. And it's the thing that we are working towards on a daily basis. Like for us, it's never ending. Our culture is something that we focus on and we talk to and we preach to our guys all the time. And the way that we do it is the standard that you want to hold yourself on a daily basis. And that standard should be being your very best, nothing more, nothing less, every single day. And our mindset is if you focus on being your very best every single day, and don't try to do too much, don't try to do too little, just do what you got to do every single day. The result will take care of itself. So we're very much process driven. We created an acronym, BEST, BEST, Brotherhood, Energy, Self-Discipline, and Tenacity. And it was based off of my high school head coach's pregame speech. He had a speech every single week, every single game day. It was the same, no matter what. I mean, he might as well have been, saying out the Hail Mary, because it was just consistent every single week. But he said that before every game, and it always stuck out to me was play to the best of your ability, nothing more, nothing less. The rest will take care of itself. And we try to take that and make that an everyday goal, is just do your best, whether it's being your best son, best brother, best student, best football player, best man of faith. Every single day you're focusing in on doing that. And if you focus on being your best, then like I said, the results will take care of itself.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. All right. Question number 3. What are the 3 best things? This is where we steal all your good ideas. What are the 3 best things you do in your program to build culture?
So being a Catholic school, I think one of my thing that I always really liked, and now the time the kids hate, but we go to 8 a.m. mass every Sunday as a program. And that's both as a high school and our youth program. So we tie everything together from top to bottom. So at 8 a.m., you'll have the CYO on one side, and then you've got the varsity on the other. And all our varsity guys, they're all wearing quarter zips and a tie. They all look the same, all look sharp. They, for whatever reason, they put us in the choir pew, which puts them even more, and out in the open. And they are a representation constantly of our football program in that manner. And I think as a young man, when you're looking out at the crowd and whether they acknowledge you during church or whatever, which they usually do at the end of every mass. I know as a player, that was a real special moment when all of a sudden 500 members of a congregation, all of a sudden they turn and they're looking at you, and there's just that level of importance and that level of pride where, we're in a community that has 3 high schools, including ours. And so for us to have, being a small Catholic school, we rely on our parish. That's our community. We got kids from multiple cities from all across. And so that's our community. So being able to be connected with that, I think, is a huge reminder to those guys that this is bigger than ourselves. And that's, I think, what football teaches us more than anything is things are just bigger than ourselves, and being able to have that is as a constant reminder every Sunday is awesome. And then we go and have team breakfast, and that's a great time to just as a team to bond. We go to a house and we eat breakfast and just break bread and and just be together. And that's the best part of it. Just having that separation. We're not together on Saturdays. Catholic League doesn't allow us to practice or anything like that on Sundays. So we just have a team breakfast and go home and enjoy the rest of this day. So that's probably, and it's what we base a lot of our stuff on. Second one's our Alumni Handshake. So like I mentioned, we're top 15, top 20 winningest programs in state history. So with that tradition and that history, it's Lakes. It's what I like about it is once you come here, a lot of times you don't leave. It's you just come ingrained so much in the community and the culture here that you just fall in love with everybody, and you can't leave. It's the loving version of a Brooklyn tale when they say now you just can't leave in the bar scene, and they it's the loving version of that. So getting to be able to do that, it's what we do is, and I actually picked this up from Last Chance U, and I got no problem saying I became buddies with Marcus Wood, the OC from Last Chance U, the first 2 seasons. Just got the head coach. Shout out to Coach Wood over at Holmes Community College down in Mississippi. But they do Alumni Handshake where all the players they get in a line, and there's a line of alumni and their family, and all the players go and they shake their hand and just say thank you. Because the way we look at it is without our past, we don't have a future. We don't have Laker football without our past. So being able to honor that and honor one of the cool things to honor some of my teammates now that have kids or going to school here, but anybody that's an alumni, they get to come down onto the field. They go on a straight line, and each one of our players go there, look them in the eye, shake their hands, and say thank you. And that is, I started that at my last program, and when I got to Lakes, it was like my number one priority that I wanted to get in was to do this. And it's a very small token of appreciation that I think goes a long way with your alumni. Is if you're just coming down and just saying thank you and a handshake, I think it goes a long way. Coach, you're muted right now. Oh, you're all good.
Sorry, bud.
No, you're right.
When do you do this? After the game, before the game? Give us some details.
Absolutely. So before the game, it's before our homecoming game. We line everybody up. Obviously with homecoming, you got about 19 different events going on. So what we do is we call the alumni down. We have them bring their families down, and they line up in the on the sideline, usually going into the end zone, and then we'll have each player in our program just line up in a single file, and it's a quick 2-minute thing. It's quick, it's easy, but I think the symbolism of it, I think goes a lot. It goes a long way, and for us. It's just obviously there's different ways to bring the community or the alumni back into it. For us, it's just something subtle where that player is now starting to develop a relationship with that alumni. And one of my favorite parts about being at Lakes is I've got friends. I'll tell you this: my dad played at our arch rival, or the school's old arch rival, against my high school head coach. He was a quarterback. My grandfather played at their arch rival, the same high school, against my high school head coach in his first year as a head coach. And I've got people that come up to me and talk to me about them, and I've developed relationships with them through our alumni because of that. So I want my guys to have that same ability to where they are friends with guys from my era or, even from before me. It's be able to have that opportunity to network and just meet new people and we all know what networking can do, especially in the coaching world. And it's even more so and just real life. So it's just a very subtle. It's not very, theatrical or anything, but I think it goes a long way, especially with the guys.
Now, when you're saying alumni, are you saying former players or just any alumni of the school?
So we've done both. When we first started doing it, we did just former players. This past year, we've started to incorporate more of the alumni, just to say thank you in general. But we've done it both. We did it with, I believe, all alumni this year because it was more so because of with COVID last year, we weren't able to do it, and we wanted to just kind of say thank you because a lot of our alumni, they're a big reason why we're able to keep the doors open because they want their kids to be able to experience the same, 4 years or 12, 13 years. I was only 4 years here. We've got a lot of people that I graduated. We probably had 15 people in my class that were there for all 13 years. So it's a special place. And I think being able to do that where we'll probably focus more on the football side of it, just trying to get more and more people. But this year we felt like we wanted to honor everybody and keep it all encompassing and just say thank you to as many people as we could.
That one's awesome, man. I'm going to steal that one.
It's fun. Like I said, Coach, it's real simple. I mean, pregame of halftime, so you don't have to deal with the homecoming queen, cussing you out. It's a quick and easy one, and it's fun. And then the third one, and this is my favorite one. It's the one I sent you a couple pictures of and videos. We started it this year, and this is no disrespect to my high school head coach. He was incredible. The one thing that I always thought was let's put it this way, when he was here, he was a legend. Like when you read the books, like Bleachers, whatever, like when they talk about, like you looked up at Coach Boyd, like he was the second coming. And so there was, while the players themselves built connections, I didn't ever see, I shouldn't say ever, there wasn't a whole lot of connection and gap between, or bridging that connection between the high school and our CYO program, which is 3rd grade through 8th grade football. And so the one thing I wanted to do was I wanted to make this from one program, not high school, not CYO, just one football program. So what we did is we had a joint practice. So luckily in Michigan, our youth teams start the same week as our high school teams. And that first Saturday, we always did an inter-squad scrimmage. And this year, what we did was we did a joint practice. So we got the 3rd, 4th grade team, 5, 6, and 7, 8 team, and we all practiced together on the same field. And I think it's really special because you get an opportunity for some guys that have siblings to be on the field for the first, like this year, the first and only time where we've got a set of 3 brothers that they'll never be on the field again together. And they get to have that opportunity and, that Kodak moment for the families, where it's pretty cool because we've got, on our 8th grade team alone, I think we had 5 younger brothers. And so it's just a way to bring everybody together. We do about an hour and a half, about an hour of just a joint practice where we'll have high school on one end, high school and 7, 8th graders, because we have our 7, 8 team. They run pretty much our stuff. So they come over and they're working with us. And then we've got the 3, 4, and 5, 6 on the other, and we're all in like just 4 corners. And that way parents are getting to see, they get to see their baby on the big field with all the big boys. And we take them through our stretches and all that stuff. That might be the funniest thing is when you're seeing we had a kid, he's 6'3", 250, and he's got a little 7-year-old, 8-year-old on his hip, doing the same stretches as him. It's a pretty cool experience. And then once we're done with that, we have a quick, just a competition drill on front, just basically our 3-level Oklahoma, not the outdated, the outlawed Oklahoma, just like a one-on-one drill, and just kind of get the pads popping, pump the kids up, especially the little guys. Do that for like 5 minutes, and then we do just a blue. We call it the blue silver game, and we just have inter squad scrimmage, and it's fun, man. It was, to toot my own horn, in my coaching career, it's the coolest thing that I've been able to do. It was incredible. It would just, you kind of sit back and you're looking, you're seeing all these kids, all these guys will be your players hopefully someday, and being able to all be on the same field and little guys cheering the big guys on. That was really cool.
Can you pull up the pictures you sent me? Can you share your screen and show some of that stuff?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. 1 second. Let me pull up my Twitter real quick. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, we had like cousins, like the 3 brothers that were together. They had a cousin that was on that team. It was just such a wild experience where you're here. 1 second. All right. So here's the, can you see that, Coach?
It said started sharing screen, but it hasn't popped up yet. There it is.
It's there. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it. So you'll see we got all our high school guys up here, and then you got sprinkled in our CYO guys here. So the one thing somebody might notice, and these helmets, the blue ones, they're out. We're getting new silver helmets. For whatever reason, when we were in high school, my head coach, we had royal blue helmets and the opposite of Penn State, navy helmets and white stripes. And it was, when I got here, the big clamoring was, we need to bring back the old helmets. I said, there was absolutely zero chance you're going to see any of my teams with a navy blue helmet and royal blue jersey. So what I did was I as a compromise, I had said, I'm going to keep our CYO helmets the navy color, and allow that to at least to keep rolling in that way. But there was no chance, and I'll get out that I was gonna be doing that. But then this is just some of the other pictures, and we brought them all in, just ready to talk to them. We got all of our CYO coaches there too. And this is us starting to get through our stuff. We do a fast drill, like a quick drill, for our pregame. These are all these guys watching us. And again, we got all our varsity coaches out there. They're, hyping the guys up. We've got our starting quarterback on the 3rd, 4th grade team back here, and his brother, who's our starting center, is up here, and along with a bunch of other siblings, and just a really, really cool experience, and something that it was special. And then at the end of it, after the game, or after the scrimmage, we had a picnic, and being able to do that, especially after the COVID year, where we get to have a gathering and get people together and celebrate Laker football. And like I said, it's a very, very special. It was a special day, that's for sure. And seeing all these people, and and then you seeing the kids playing, touch football, and you got the high school kids playing with the middle school kids, playing touch football, and then you got the 5-6 and the 3-4 guys playing, and just there. Yeah, and there you go. There's the touch football game going. So it's just, like I said, I don't like hyping up too much of my stuff, but in my opinion, that was one of the coolest things I've witnessed, and I was very happy, and I was very thankful for our staff. They did a great job as far as helping me out, keeping everything organized, and big part has to go to them. But it was.
I love that one, man. I saw someone else does that And I just think that's a winner right there, man. That was fantastic. Having those different age kids and the siblings and all that, and I bet you your parents go crazy over that one.
They were pretty fired up, and it was like just leaving it, and I'm pretty close with a lot of my CYO coaches. We all have pretty good relationships, and I was hanging out with one of them, and he hit me in the arm. He goes, that was cool. He goes, that we've got to do that every year, and that's got to be our staple. And it's just something, man. We want to make sure that people feel that it's family from top to bottom. And I'm luckily in my job. My job is and at the school is I'm monitoring a lot of the athletic events and being the event manager. So the great part is I get paid to go to every single CYO football game, and that's my job. So it's getting that. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. So it's
How
awesome.
long would you say the on the field portion lasts? How long do you go out there from stretch to the end of it?
It's max, including like built-in breaks. Obviously, we take a couple more breaks with the little guys. It's probably max 2 hours, including the scrimmage. So we did about hour 15 of just like practice, and we're going like, we're an air raid team, so we're going through pat and go, settle and noose, mesh drill and all that stuff, and some routes on air, just kind of getting loose, and then switching over, going through our defensive indies. And then once we get through all that stuff, then we'll work into our scrimmage stuff, which is about 30 minutes max. And, so it's on the field time, it's probably hour 45. But we want to make sure we get everybody quality reps, because with 27 guys, if you're sometimes fitting some guys into some different spots, you might have your starting left guard playing that overhang or that safety, and that's not where he plays. But yeah, so it's relatively quick. It would like it to be a little bit quicker, but obviously we got to make sure we adjust a little bit to those younger guys.
Well, I think it's fantastic, man. I think both of those. I love the handshake, and I love the having a football day with everybody there. Great stuff. All right, you're still a young man. I'm gonna ask you an old man question. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So question number 4: what do you know now that you wish you knew when you first got started?
That scheme can't overcome a poor culture. And not only that, it's culture, especially as a head coach, is not something that you can ever just assume that it's getting repeated every day. My first year as a head coach, I was very fortunate. Came into a program with a group of kids that just were hungry. They went the last 2 years pretty much winless, and I took over. I was the youngest head coach in the state of Michigan. This is right in the middle of PJ Fleck row the boat stuff. So any young coach with energy, we in Michigan, man, like you were just considered the bee's knees. So I schmoozed my way into the job and got real lucky and was able to get this job. And I was youngest head coach for about 5 months. And then some guy that was like 6 months younger than me got it. And I'm like, whatever, man. One of my first goals was to be the youngest head coach of the state of Michigan. I had it for at least 6 months. So that counts. But anyway, we take over this, and we had a really, really strong senior class. And we started figuring out about 2/3 of the way through the summer, like we might have something here, fellas. Like this might be. So we kept pedal to metal, just kept hammering, and going to my first game as a head coach. I'm fired up. We're ready. Telling the boys, like, this is our moment. It was 51-0 at halftime. But I'll never forget it. The guy that was working under the year prior, he came to the game, and he grabs me as I'm walking out, and he goes, "Don't lose them here." He goes, "Rebuild or reset, come back out. Don't look defeated when you go in there." And came out, and it was, I mean, we tied in the second half. It was 0-0. But we went into the following week very fortunately, and we won we won. It was the first win in 663 days in the program history, and we ended up we didn't do great in non-league. We lost every non-league game, but we won every league game. We went 5-4 and went undefeated, and actually won our league and made the state playoffs. And that was the first time in 6 years, I believe, that we did it. And it was a very, very special moment, very special group. And we didn't know we were getting in. We were literally a bubble team. We didn't have the number of wins required to get in. And we got very fortunate, and we were the last team announced on Selection Sunday for our division. So we're going through, and I had figured out mathematically, I was pretty confident we were in, but I told every kid, like, no, I don't know. We get together and we do this chili cook-off for Selection Sunday, and we get to the selection show, and I'm like, okay, all right, we'll be in this bottom half. And then all of a sudden we get down to another district, and then to another district, and another district. And I'm like, I'm starting to get nervous. And sure enough, we get in, and there's a video. It is a cool moment where you see these kids. I mean, it's straight up from NCAA Selection Sunday, and there's, I mean, probably 200 people in there and just going nuts. And it was that moment was probably one of my most fond moments of my life, was just that. And just with a great group of kids. And where I messed up was, after all that, the following year we started 7 sophomores. Now, in my career, I've had, and playing and coaching all the way down to Little League, I've had 1 losing season my whole life. So we struggled, and I wasn't persistent on that culture. Like, I was just trying to fix it by scheme. I was trying to fix it by everything but just looking at myself in the mirror and seeing what we got to do to just get better that day. And it took me 3 years honestly to figure that out. And it wasn't until last year where I really started to get it, where scheme isn't going to change anything. I feel like I can get on the board with anybody, but if I'm not doing what I have to do day in and day out, then we're gonna fail. No matter how cool it looks on the board, we're gonna fail. And so that's the biggest thing.
I love it, man. That's such an easy trap to fall into. I tell you, the one that's gotten me more than once is having a great group of seniors coming up, and they're great dudes, and you just assume that they're going to be great leaders, and then they don't. They're not. They don't have the leadership. They don't have the it. And I've relaxed my leadership program a few times just because I thought the senior group was so strong, and then it ended up just biting me. So I'm with you. You gotta. It's when you're grasping at straws there, it's so easy to try to drop a new play to try to fix it, instead of going back to the nuts and bolts of building a culture and building a family.
And the worst part too was, it was at the time I was working midnights at a juvenile detention facility. So I'm literally sitting there with nothing but my own thoughts. And so, like, you're just sitting there and you got to do your 15-minute checks, but man, you're just sitting in a quiet room, and your thoughts just consumed you. And majority of it was from, I'm going to put this drawing down, and I'm going to draw this scheme up, and this is going to be great. And then next thing I know, I've got 17 unique plays that we got to install, and it just wasn't focusing on the right stuff. And that's exactly what happens. We've had groups of seniors where we just kind of assume that they would get in line. and they didn't. And that's on me. That's not on them. That's on me more than anyone. And so I definitely know what you mean by that. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, the ones that they're just great kids, and you like them, but that doesn't mean they have that leader, that ability to hold the standard and hold
Yeah.
people accountable, hold themselves accountable, hold people accountable, and
Yeah.
that's gotten me more than once. And I
That's
was a young head coach too one time, but now I'm an old guy. So, but it's happened more than once where that fooled me that they
yeah.
were such great kids and they've been in the program the whole time, and then it was me. I let down pushing the leadership, program that we
Yeah.
normally have. All
Yeah.
right, man. Well, I tell you what, you've been fantastic on this thing.
Appreciate it.
What's your contact number? I know you're a Twitter guy.
Absolutely. So my Twitter handle is coach underscore Glynn 9. Let me make sure I have that right. Um, yeah, coach underscore Glynn, GLYNN 9. Um, Feel free, anybody, to reach out. More than willing to talk about anything with it. Listen, my record over the last few years, it's been tough, but I I live and breathe this stuff. This is the stuff that I love. So I love talking ball with anybody, and I'm very fortunate through Twitter and social media. I've been able to discuss and talk with some of the best guys in the country, and um, because of Twitter, I got hooked up with, obviously, with you, got hooked up with Drew Piscopo, um, Coach Napier, Brian Pointer down in Texas. That's my guy. Um, he's the one that got me into the air raid. It was one Zoom call. It was supposed to be 45 minutes, and then about 3.5 hours later, I'm sitting there, and it just completely changed my life as far as just coaching in general. And but yeah, Twitter's a great tool to use it. Um, like to have a little bit of fun with it too, and just talk ball. So yeah, anybody that's wants to reach out, more than willing to talk.
I'm sure that whatever scheme guys are bought into, they could say the same thing. But I talked to Randy Jackson one time, and we both had almost identical stories on. I almost felt like it was the hand of God that connected me to air raid first, and then connected me to culture.
Yeah,
And I would both of us are kind of through Brian Kane,
yeah,
but I mean it just an email came out of the blue from Brian Kane, and that really started me down the culture journey. And the same was through, I how Mummy came to the college I was at, and
yeah.
that's how I got started. So it
I,
was almost, it felt like the hand of God on both of them that just completely changed the direction that I was heading.
and
And I'm sure wing T guys can say the same thing, and air and
oh
run
yeah,
shoot guy. I'm sure everyone has a similar story, but it felt like it was the hand of God, and it would just changed everything.
it's one of those things. Like, I mean, I'm going into it. I talked to a couple guys like Coach Jacobs. I know that you had him from Dexter High School on before. Him and I, we're talking, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, I like it. I like it, but I worry about it, because the way I describe my kids is we got a lot of basketball bodies, not a lot of basketball players. So I mean, and with 27 kids,
That's a
we
good
can't
way of describing it.
we can't bang. We cannot bang, and it was shown this year, unfortunately, in a negative way, that um, we ended up down to QB4. We had 7 season-ending injuries by week 4, and I couldn't fathom what it would have been like um, if we didn't have that. Like, if we didn't have this air raid stuff, and what we ended up coming down to is, again, just one call, and or one Zoom, and like I said, 3.5 hours later, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I didn't touch my playbook. Like I said, I always thought scheme would fix everything. I didn't touch or alter anything in my playbook probably for 5 months. I took exactly what they were doing. I took their installs, made it fit for our guys. And, we're a leach style, and I made that fit for our guys. And I never, and I'm not that. I mean, I would be battling, do I want pin pull or outside zone back and forth for months? And I just argue with myself. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be that difficult. And it simplified everything. It was just this epiphany, like this doesn't have to be that hard. This could be pretty easy if we allow it.
That's awesome. Awesome story, man. All right. Anything you want to promote or any closing thoughts you want to give?
The only thing I would say, I guess the only thing I'd promote, it's not anything for me. It's people I'm sure seen on the news, the Oxford school shooting. That was 15 minutes away from us, literally. In fact, in my old job, if I was still at my old job, I would have been one-on-one with that kid in the juvenile facility that night. That he would have been my resident. So it's just working in a school, having a daughter in the school, just it hit home for a lot of people around here. So all I'm really pushing for or plugging is there's a young man that was killed in it that is a hero, Tate Meir, and he's a 17-year-old that went after the shooter, and they created a memorial scholarship fund, and I just want to put that out there. Being football coaches, we all know, that hit home, and so it's the link for it. You can donate online. It's cfound.org. And the scholarship fund just goes to help pay for college expenses for an Oxford graduate. Because obviously, there was 11 victims total, 4 that unfortunately lost their lives, but that's a pretty small community, and it's going to affect a lot of people. So if anybody feels in their heart to donate to that scholarship fund, I've got no connections to the program or the fund. I just figured try to help out a local community and help out some people that are in pain right now.
Can you DM me that link and I'll put it in the comments
Absolutely,
so we can get that out to people, because that's very thoughtful of you to have them in your heart. Man, you did fantastic. I sure do appreciate you coming on, buddy.
I appreciate it. This was fun. I've been looking forward to it.
Well, I tell you, you got some of the most impressive pieces that I've seen in a long time, with the team, with the football day and the handshake and even the I'm in the South, so I'm an old Baptist boy, so I'm not 100% familiar with how the Catholic Mass works, but I think that's got to be special. That's got to feel make those kids feel 10 feet tall and a part of something important and special. So I love the whole thing, man. I think you're doing fantastic. And there's no question why, even back 10 years ago, all your buddies knew you were going to be the head coach there someday.
Yeah. Well, I got real lucky. And this has been awesome. Like I said, I mean, I left a job that we built a senior class and junior class for 4 years in a row that we knew was going to be real special, and went through a lot of pain 2 years after the first year. And when I got the call that I got this job and they offered it to me, it was the easiest but yet hardest acceptance, because as tough as it was to leave those guys, and knowing that group of kids, the chance to come home was even better. So it was awesome.
Well, they picked the right guy, and buddy, I sure appreciate you doing this. You did fantastic.
Thanks, Joe. Seriously, appreciate it.